now the United States imports over 60% of our petroleum needs from other countries. And looking at some of the data out there, by 2010, they say the world's oil production is going to peak at that point. And that's kind of a scary notion. We need alternatives. We need choices.
Ethanol is an alternative fuel that is produced from crops like corn. It's a fuel that can be made right here in Ohio.
We've seen a 109% increase in ethanol production in just the last 3 years. The future of ethanol is even much brighter than that. With passage of federal legislation like the Energy Bill, which contains provisions that the United States must use renewable fuels such as ethanol or soy biodiesel. And what that means is we're going to have to more than double the amount of ethanol we produce. Any vehicle out on the road today can run an ethanol blend. Every major auto manufacturer in the world warranties a 10% blend of ethanol in their vehicle. If you go to a filling station like a Speedway or Sunoco, you're putting 10% ethanol in your car.
Car manufacturers are making more flexible fuel vehicles, cars and trucks that can run on a variety of different fuels. There are already over 5 million flexible fuel vehicles on the road. One of the fuels approved for these vehicles is called E85. E85 is a blend of 85% ethanol and 15% gasoline. E85 pollutes less and costs less than gasoline.
Blenders or oil companies or anybody that has a blending license that uses ethanol and mixes it with gasoline receives a federal tax credit of 51 cents per gallon. And then if you look at E85, you're putting fuel in your vehicle that can be priced anywhere from 30 to 50 cents less. And that's if the blender or if the oil company chooses to pass that tax credit on. In terms of identifying whether your vehicle is a flexible fuel vehicle or finding places to fill up their vehicle, if they go to www.e85fuel.com, they'll have a list of all the vehicles on the roadway since 1991 that can use 85% ethanol. And it'll also have a list of all the Ohio filling stations there as well.
Ethanol production is high-tech, but the principle is pretty basic.
The corn is brought into an ethanol plant. The starch is extracted from the ethanol. You add some enzymes to this so that it starts working and converting into sugars, and then the sugars are then fermented. There's the three things you get from an ethanol plant. You just don't send the corn in and you get this liquid out. You actually get the distiller's dried grains and solubles. It's the high protein feed for livestock. You also get CO2, which is captured and sold to the beverage industry. So we try to utilize everything that comes out of that bushel of corn going into an ethanol plant. Ethanol has become our third largest market for U.S. corn. In 3 years, it's going to surpass exports as our second largest market. Ethanol is just simply a cleaner burning fuel, and a 10% blend reduces carbon monoxide levels 30%, and so that's good. And if you use 85%, it's even greater than that.
Ethanol is gathering steam as an alternative fuel, but there are many ways to reduce our dependence on oil. Sometimes it just takes one motivated individual. A person like Ralph Dahl.
We are very concerned about the environment, and if we can harvest wind to produce electricity, well, that'll cut down on the use of coal. We call it clean energy. I think it's fairly obvious that we need to really work at reducing the use of petroleum products.
The wind turbines make a bold visual statement about this family's priorities. But in many ways, this is your basic Ohio family farm.
Of the 2,600 acres in crops, we have 1,200 in corn and 1,200 in soybeans and about 200 in wheat. On this, the home farm here, where we have, I suppose, 300 electric motors, so our electric bill runs about $35,000 a year, and so we expect these 6 turbines to reduce that down to about half that much. Yeah, when you first install wind turbines or solar, well, it's going to take a while to pay for it. So it does cost you at the beginning. But in the case of these wind turbines, we think they'll pay for themselves in 12 to 15 years, and they're expected to last more than 30 years. So you can get accustomed to the idea that after 10 or 12 or 15 years, you can have free electricity. You don't have to pay for the wind. There are grants available to most people from the Ohio Department of Development to help get started on solar and wind. In the case of our wind turbines, where the Department of Development gave a 25% grant. So that helps to get us started. They do attract attention. It's pretty hard to hide 6 towers that are 120 feet high. I have a neighbor off to my right here, across the cornfield, a young fellow, and he said he just loves to walk out his front door and watch those things going around. He said, my mom and dad, they like it too. So we haven't had any complaints about obstructing the skyline.
Ralph Dahl is not one to sit back and be satisfied with things as they are.
There's a lot of alternatives to the way we're doing things now on the farm. So I just think all of us should be interested in doing something outside of ourselves.
For a farmer in Western Ohio, these wind turbines are a personal commitment to building a better future.